What's up, family? Hey, can y'all hear me? Let me get a one in the chat. One in the chat or something. Put a emoji up, something if you can hear me. I'm still new to this thing, man. Y'all gotta let me know if you can hear me, man. I'm trying to get the audio right. Yo, is the audio working? I see it's people in here. Just let me know you can hear me. That's all. All right, man. Y'all funny style, man. Y'all be funny style on here, man. It's cool though. We going to I'm gonna get this thing started. Give me like a couple more minutes since you know what I mean. Since ain't nobody really responding, nobody interacting. Yeah, give me a few more minutes. All right, man. I'm gonna get going, man. I just want to know if you can hear me, man. Can somebody give me a one in the chat room if you can hear me? Just type number one so I know the audio is working. Can I get a one in the chat room if you can hear me? If you can hear me, type a one in the chat room. Please. Somebody. It's like it's a few of y'all in here. Like, what the fuck? Like, pardon my language, man. I'm trying to make sure I can get this thing monetized, man. I'm trying to watch the language here. All right, man. Y'all acting funny style. I don't know who y'all is, man, but whatever. Welcome to the channel. You know what I'm saying? Welcome to the channel. So listen, we're gonna get started, man. It's your boy Governor Jay back. You know what I'm saying? I've been MIA for a little bit. I got a lot of stuff going on right now, but I wanted to put this live stream out because I tried to put another video out yesterday, and I worked on that video for a couple days, man, and they hit me with all these copyrights, so I had to scrap that, and it's been a little while, so I figured I'd give y'all a little something. So listen, man, we back with the facts over fiction to give you the knowledge you've been missing. So please put your emotions to the side, all right, and make sure you like and subscribe. All right, so today we're going to talk about segregation, separation, integration, all that good stuff, right? Because Trump came out about a month ago with a executive order, about segregated facilities, whatnot. Um, I think we all know what that was really about. That was really for the Skittles community, but you had a lot of older black folks that was acting all scary about it. They think it's the end of the world because whatever. You know what I'm saying? The segregation thing scares them. I mean, and I get it, especially for the old folks. I understand. But one thing that I did notice on TikTok mostly, as well as X, and I guess all the social media platforms, right? You had all these black folks, young black folks, around my age and younger, talking about, yeah, we with it. We want segregation. We tired of living around whitey. We tired of whitey. We want segregation. We want segregation. Blah, 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 blah. And it was just funny to me, you know what I'm saying? Because I know y'all ain't ready for segregation. You dig? Y'all not ready for that. We all know y'all not ready for that, man. Y'all just be doing a lot of talking online, man. It's a lot of clout chasing going on, man. Y'all just be talking out y'all behind sometimes, man. And it's a little cringy. It's a little irritating. But we're gonna school you on what the difference between racial segregation is and racial separation is, okay? We're gonna break that down right quick, man. So I'm gonna jump into it. You know what I'm saying? I see people coming and going. I'm not sure if this sound is working right. Ain't nobody gave me no thumbs up yet. But we gonna keep it pushing. Cause that's how y'all did me last time I was on here and I found out people sitting there watching the whole time. Yeah, it's real funny style, but it's all good, man. You're gonna get used to me. So let's start it off, right? I'm gonna start off with the definition of racial segregation. Then we're gonna give you the definition of racial separation. All right, and then we're gonna go into the characteristics of both and what makes them different. Because I see a lot of people kind of use them interchangeably, but it's not the same. I mean, they're similar, but it's not the same. Okay. All right. So, the definition I have here, right, for racial segregation is the enforced separation of people based on their race or ethnicity. This separation is often systemic and imposed by a dominant group through laws, policies, or social practices. It inherently implies inequality and discrimination, where one group is often denied access to the same resources, opportunities, and facilities as another group. That sound familiar, right? All that sound real familiar because I think we already done been there. You dig? We've already been there. We done been there, done that. But this is what I keep seeing y'all screaming that y'all want all of a sudden. Like all of a sudden, that's what you want. You want discrimination, and what else are they talking about? Inequality, and you want to be denied access and all this other stuff. Okay, that makes sense. All right. Now I'm gonna give you the definition of racial separation so you can understand the difference. Racial separation is a broader term that can refer to the existence of distinct racial or ethnic groups living or operating separately. This separation may or may not be the result of forced segregation or discrimination. It can sometimes be voluntary or arise from various social, cultural, or economic factors. Now that's something I like. I like how that sounds, especially the part where it can be voluntary. Now, when it's voluntary, that means you had a power. You're not being forced to do it by the dominant group. We already know who that is. We don't need them to force us to do the segregation thing, because trust me, family, if they force segregation again, it's not going to be good. It's going to be all those bad things I just told you about. It's not going to be good for you. So I don't even understand that talking point. You see what I'm saying? And plus, if you was really about it, you would already be on some separate stuff. You would already want to be around all black folks and not want to even work with no white folks or Latinos and all these other people. Like, that's why my thumbnail, I had to also put, because this is an old sign, this is a real sign, colored only, no whites allowed. But I had to put no POC allowed. We don't want no people of color, and no minority allowed. We don't want none of them. All of them, they gotta fend for themselves. Or let them stay integrated. Let them stay with the white folks. That's who they want to be with anyway. You dig? Like, especially when it comes to these Asians, right? These Arabs and the Latinos too. Like, they all tend to have businesses in our neighborhoods. They all got businesses in the hood, right? They don't live there. They don't live in the hood, but they make sure they come set up shop right in the hood and get rich off of our dollars. This is what they do. This is what they do at the Chinese food store. This is what they do at the Poppy store. And this is what they do at the Habibi store. And we all know this. And the thing is, I mean, granted, if you have a business somewhere, I mean, yeah, you're supposed to want to be profitable. You're supposed to want to get rich. But the difference is, when these people set up shop in our neighborhoods, they never give back to the community. They get rich off our dollars while we still poor, and they send their kids to Ivy League schools off of that North Philly dollar, off of that West Philly dollar. You see what I'm saying? We don't want that no more. They gonna have to fend for themselves. They gonna have to go broke, because where else they gonna set up a store at? You know what I'm saying? The white folks don't really want them around. They don't really want them around. They got a couple stores out there where the white folks be at. They don't need another 15 Chinese food stores. They already got a couple. They don't need all them different blocks. Every other block a Chinese food store. Every other block is a deli liquor store. They don't want that. You know what I'm saying? So these people have to fend for themselves. If we were really to stand on this separation business, let's go back to let's go back to segregation real quick. Let's talk about some of the key characteristics of racial segregation, right? The key characteristics is that, number one, this is forced and it's mandatory. All right? It's not a matter of choice for the marginalized group, which will be foundational Black Americans, which is foundational Black Americans, okay? There's no choice in the matter if they bring back segregation. All right? It's systemic. Okay, it's embedded in laws, institutions, and in social norms. To be honest, we already dealing with that. That ain't nothing new. We already dealing with that in this so-called integration society. They still got systemic barriers all around us. You know what I'm saying? But that's another story, right? We can get rid of all that stuff if we do our own thing. We ain't got to worry about that no more. We gonna do our own thing. We don't got to worry about that. We don't got to worry about being discriminated against by a white boy. Or the Hispanic man, or the Indian man, or whoever else is running the show. We ain't got to worry about that if we're separated and we got our own going on. We got our own stuff and our own businesses. But y'all don't really want that. Let's go to the next key characteristics, right? The next characteristic of racial segregation is that it is unequal. All right, by law, it's unequal. Even though the law will stay equal, what did they say? Separate but equal. We all know that's cat. We all know it's cat. Excuse me. So we know that unequal leads to disparities in access and quality of life. Point blank, period. Another characteristic is that it is discriminatory based on the belief of racial hierarchy or inferiority. We already know about white supremacy. We know how they get down. So I don't understand why people getting on TikTok talking about, yeah, Trump, bring back segregation. We don't want to be around y'all anyway. Come on, man. All that's cat. And you know it's cat. You know what I'm saying? If you was really about it, you would be proactive on it. You'd be moving to a black county, right? A county where it's majority black at in a state with high black numbers. We don't have no states in this country where we're the majority. We don't have no state at all. That's something we need. We need to at least start with one state where, hey, this state over here, that's our home base. Whether we're in Pennsylvania, California, New York, Illinois, we need to have a state where we can go to and we're running the show. The governor's black, everybody's black. You see what I'm saying? The senators is black. It's all that's the black state. You heard? That's what we need. But y'all don't really want to do that. Y'all just be talking online. Y'all just be talking, right? Let me give you some examples of racial segregation, right? The number one example that we all know that we know too much about already is Jim Crow, right? Jim Crow laws in the United States legally mandated separate schools, transportation, housing, and public facilities for black and white people. And notice how they say black and white people on this thing. It was literally black people and then everybody else. You see what I'm saying? Because people be questioning like, how come when you read about Jim Crow, they never mention the Asians, they never mention the Latinos? What bathroom did they use? Where did they sit on the bus? Newsflash: they sat with the white folks. They was in the white facilities. We were the only ones segregated. We were the only ones segregated in Texas. They got laws on the book. You can look it up. I mean, granted, yeah, certain places would say no blacks or no colored, no Mexicans. Certain place would discriminate against the Mexicans, but Mexicans were not segregated legally by law. They went to school with white folks. They sat in the front of the bus. They went to the white bathroom. They used the white water fountain. That black stuff, the colored only, that was literally just for us, and everybody else was considered white. You see what I'm saying? They didn't become minorities until after we fought for civil rights for minorities. You know what I'm saying? We went for that okey doke. And then all these people who were already classified as white, they said, okay, instead of us being second class white folks to the Anglo white folks, let's just identify as Asian, or let's just identify as this new word that they came up with called Hispanic. They came up with Hispanic in the 70s. We want to identify as that. So now we can get all them benefits that those N words fought for. You see what I'm saying? Because we didn't want to fight for just ourselves. We wanted to be, I don't know, we wanted to be Jesus or something. We wanted to fight for everybody but white folks, right? The white folks, the enemy. We know that much. But you want to go fight for the other racist people of color. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Okay, here's another example of racial segregation, right? Apartheid in South Africa was a system of racial segregation and discrimination enforced by law. They had that going on up until the 90s, man. We had to fight for those South Africans over there so they could take their country back, even though they were the majority the whole time. Make it make sense, man. Um, Another example is historically segregated schools and neighborhoods due to legal restrictions and discriminatory housing practices. Now, this is still going on today, as we know. You know what I'm saying? It's still going on today, especially in the North. I did a video on segregation in the North. Y'all should go check that out. You know what I'm saying? It talks about how how the North is more segregated than the South is. You see what I'm saying? Northeast and the Midwest, Chicago, Philadelphia, these cities like that, man, they more segregated than them towns down south. But, we living with that already, man. My thing is, why be somewhere cold? Why not just come on back down south where all your people at? If you love your folks so much, if you love FBA so much, why not go down south? Why you want to live in California? Yo, the black folks living in Southern California, particularly Los Angeles County, they're living in Jim Crow 2.0 in 2025. I promise you they are. I promise you. They are living in Jim Crow. And guess what? It's not the white folks pushing that line. It's Hispanics pushing that line. But they ain't going to never talk about that. Yo, them black folks, them FBAs in Los Angeles County are terrified of Mexicans, boy. They throwing fire bombs in people's houses in the 2010s, man. They doing this in the 21st century. They out there shooting at random black folks and calling them all kind of racial slurs, and it's crazy, man. But right, you don't want to be around black folks because if you're gonna move into a black neighborhood, it's got to be the ghetto. You don't want to live in the hood, right? You want to live around white folks that you hate so much. Okay, make it make sense. Okay, and the last form of racial segregation was laws prohibiting interracial marriage. Okay, anti-miscongeniation laws and that type of thing. Right now, I can go down a rabbit hole about that. As we know, there was a case. I can't remember the name of the case right now. I want to say it was Virginia something, but it was a black woman, wanting to marry a white man. That's what kind of broke that barrier down, because that was supposedly illegal at the time, even though white men been running through black women forever, whether it was forced in slavery or it was consensual and even later on. You know what I'm saying? Where you got sisters actively actively looking for these white men. You know what I'm saying? Either way, it was illegal. The big difference was the fact that black men, we couldn't mess with no white woman no matter what. You know what I'm saying? He was getting hung, locked up, killed just for allegedly whistling at a white woman, right? Even as a teenager. So, that's that, man. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole too far, man, but we already know what that's hitting for. Now, I want to give you some of the characteristics of separation now, so you can tell the difference, right? So the key characteristics of separation is that it can be forced or voluntary. So groups may live separately due to external pressures or by choice to preserve cultural identity and community. That sounds like something we need right about now, right? That sounds like something we need right about now. We want to preserve our cultural identity and community, right? Because we're being, we going through an ethnocide, and everybody wants to erase us and replace us. But hey, you still want to live over there with them white folks, though. You still want to work for the white man. You still want to get that white dollar. You don't really want to work with your people. You see what I'm saying? You don't really want to boycott Walmart. You don't want to shop black for real, because it costs more money. It costs more money because these black business owners get screwed on the distribution side. They got to pay more for the product than these other people have to pay based off racism. And if they're ever going to make a profit and be able to stay in business, they have to pass that extra cost off to the consumer. And it's not really a big deal, family, if we are unified and that money is being circulated through group economics. That's not a big deal. Yeah, you pay a little bit more than Walmart. So what? It's going to a black person who's going to spend that dollar with another black person. That dollar could come right back to you if you get your hustle on. You see what I'm saying? But nah, y'all don't want to do that. Y'all want to get it for the cheap price. You want to pay $1 less. You want to pay 50 cents less. So you're never going to boycott Walmart. You dig? Like, y'all niggas just be talking, man. Y'all just be talking on this internet, man. Let's see. Another key factor is that racial separation is not necessarily systemic. Now, while it can be a result of systemic issues, it can also occur due to other reasons. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? Basically, that we want to do it. If you online talking about you want segregation, then cool. It doesn't have to be a systemic thing where it's forced on us. You see what I'm saying? This is something where we can do what we want to do. We separate, we live over here, but if we do want to go over to that other community, that ain't against the law. You see what I'm saying? Now, back in segregation times, we couldn't really go to them white folks side of town like that. You know what I mean? Unless we working for them or something. And a lot of times we better get up out of there before a certain time of night. Meanwhile, them white folks could come over to our side of town all day long. They could come all up in our establishments no matter what, because we want that white dollar too. You know what I'm saying? Now, with separation, it can go either way. It can go both ways. Boom. We can go over there and make some money and come back home, or they can come over on our side and make some money and come back home. Or we can shut it down and say, nah, we ain't with that. At least in this establishment, nah, you're going to have to keep it moving, go to the next one. You know what I mean? And it could be the same thing for us if we decide to go venture over into that neighborhood over there where there's some white folks at or some Hispanics at. Like, that's on you if you want to go over there. You might get discriminated against, you might not. You know what I mean? But that's just how it's going to be. Shit, that's how it happens now already. Okay. Okay, another characteristic of racial separation is that it's not inherently unequal. right? While separation can lead to inequality, the mere fact of different groups existing separately doesn't automatically imply it. All right. Now, the way that it would become unequal is like I mentioned. If we're not on code, practicing group economics with each other, spending that dollar with each other, cycling that dollar back in our community, and the other communities are doing it, then yeah, things are going to be unequal because they're building wealth and we're still not. But that's all. That's all with up to us. You see what I'm saying? That's all up to us to staying on code. The last key characteristics I'm gonna mention is that it can be due to various factors, including segregation, self-segregation, economic disparities, cultural preferences, or historical patterns. This is what we're discussing right now. This is everything we're discussing right now: historical patterns, cultural preferences, economic disparities. Like this is what I'm talking about. So here's some examples of racial separation. Check this out. Right here's the number one example right here. It says historically, some black communities formed their own towns and institutions due to exclusion and discrimination, but these were acts of self-determination within a segregated society. This is what I'm talking about right here. The reason why I think foundational black Americans are so scared to go back to this frame of mind is that we still thinking about Tulsa, Oklahoma. We still thinking about Wilmington, North Carolina, Rosewood, Florida. They just want to come through bombing and everything like that. Like we need to get that scary you got to get that scariness about the paint, man. Now it's 2025, man. We got cameras, we got surveillance everywhere, we got guns. You know what I'm saying? To stop using them on each other. Actually go to the range and get your aim up. You see what I'm saying? Get your aim up and know what you're doing with them hammers. And we ain't got to worry about nobody bombing our place up. They could bomb the hood now if they wanted to. You know what I'm saying? They could bomb wherever little businesses we got right now. They don't do it. And my thing is, I'm talking about getting a whole state. I ain't talking about just get a town. I'm talking about taking over a whole state. For instance, Georgia, right? You got a lot of black folks moving to Georgia. It's one of the blackest states in the country. If we can become a minority a majority in Georgia, I mean, naturally, white flight is going to occur. That's what happens with every time we move into a neighborhood. Them white folks, they get the running. They don't want to live around us, right? So once we take over a state and they see that hey, they don't have the majority numbers no more, they're going to want to get ghosts. They're going to want to get ghosts. So we don't even have to worry about those type of things. We'll take over their neighborhoods too because they don't want to be around us, and we don't want to be around them, right? Okay. Here's other examples of racial separation, right? Ethnic enclaves like Chinatowns or Little Italies, where people of a shared cultural background choose to live and work together, often to maintain cultural traditions and support their community. Sometimes arising from discriminatory housing patterns, they can also be a form of voluntary association. So, as we see, Chinatowns all over the world, man. They got Chinatowns in damn near every city on this planet. It's a Chinatown somewhere, and they're able to thrive and do their business in Chinatown. When you go to Chinatown, those blocks or however big that neighborhood is, it ain't nothing but Chinese and maybe a few other Asians in the mix over there. You don't see no real black businesses over there. You don't see no white folks over there like that unless they going shopping. That's what we need. We need FBA Town or something like that. You know what I'm saying? I know Dr. Claude Anderson talks about this in Powernomics. I have Powernomics. I'm not at the crib right now. I wish I could do that, but that's going to be a live stream for a future date where we going to dissect Powernomics because he got all the answers, man. Dr. Claude Anderson has all the answers, man, but clearly black folks don't want to do it. You know what I'm saying? That's why he's so tired now. That's why he don't even want to fight no more because he already knows it's almost over for us. We pretty much cooked. But I'm giving you the game right now. This is what we need to do. But we ain't gonna do it. Here's another example. The Nation of Islam's historical advocacy for a separate black nation in the United States, based on the idea of self-determination and empowerment. Now, what Elijah Muhammad and them guys wanted to do, they wanted to get a plot of land in this country within a state that's already established, and then let that be a new nation within the United States. Now, I don't think that's all necessary. You know what I mean? Like I said before, I think we need to get a few states. If we can start with one, and then branch off into the states next to them, so we can have a region where, all right, this is the black part of the country, just like how you got in the Southwest. You got a lot of Hispanics and that live out there going through Texas, West Texas to New Mexico to Arizona, all the way through Southern California, and the whole California for real, up to Nevada, Colorado. That's like the Hispanic homeland, at least in this country. You know what I'm saying? It's not their homeland at all. Like a lot of them came from Mexico, but you had a lot of them that was actually already here too. So that's their thing. We got a homeland. We got the deep South. We got East Texas, we got Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, the Florida Panhandle, right? South Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina, Memphis, Tennessee, Arkansas. We got a region, man. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, man, you Negroes up north, and yeah, you Negroes up north. It don't matter whether you on the east side, the Midwest, or way on the West Coast. Y'all not trying to go back down south, man. Y'all want to be around white folks. Y'all want to be around Hispanics. Y'all like that fake ass melting pot idea. Y'all like that idea, all this diversity. That's not helping us, man. We're getting diluted, man. We're getting erased. All right. Listen, so the crucial difference, right? The key difference lies in the element of force and inequality. Segregation is imposed and inherently creates disparities, while separation can exist for various reasons, including voluntary association, though it can be also a consequence of segregation or lead to inequalities. Malcolm X, in his speeches, often emphasized the distinction between segregation, which he saw as imposed by the white majority on black people, and separation, which he advocated for as a means of black self determination and control. He viewed segregation as a tool of oppression, while separation, in his view, could be a path to empowerment. This is what I think a lot of these folks be saying when they get online talking about, oh yeah, oh yeah, bring back segregation, Trump, bring it back. We don't want to be around y'all anyway. Blah blah blah. They think that can lead to empowerment, but no, you need separation, and it needs to be voluntary. We have to be proactive with that. We can't be reactive to some. We can't be reactive to the environment or social policies being placed upon us to do it. Because, like I said, once that happens, it's not going to go good for us. We gotta have self determination. Basically, we gotta do it on our own. We got to make a conscious effort. And to be honest, there is an effort. I mean, I know a lot of folks, I know people that have moved from the north and went back down south. A lot of people have been doing it over the past 30, 40 years now. A lot of people's been doing it, but it's still not enough. We still need a state. We still need a state. Let's talk about states right now. Let's talk about which states this could work for the best right now. Where we at? Where we at? Give me a second here while I pull up this information. Now I do know that the blackest state in the country is Mississippi. Although and then Mississippi is still not a majority black state, but it is the blackest state in the country. Um, right. So okay, all these states are in the deep south for the most part, right? The blackest state is Mississippi at 38%, and that's based off the 2020 census. Now I know nobody wants to move to Mississippi. The good thing I just heard about Mississippi is that they got rid of the income tax. That's what the governor just did recently. They got rid of income tax. It's one of I think 10 states, something like that. 10 states where you don't have to pay an income tax, which means if you work there and you reside in Mississippi, you keep more of your paycheck. All right. So that's a plus with Mississippi. The other blackest states that I'm looking at are Louisiana, which is right next to it. All right. Georgia. Okay. Alabama's up there. South Carolina. But I believe Maryland, there's actually a higher population of black folks in Maryland than Alabama. and South Carolina. But what I do know about Maryland is that Maryland is full of tethers. So those black folks that are, so high in numbers in Maryland nowadays, it's a lot of non-FBAs up there. Whole lot of non-FBAs now. Baltimore, in my humble opinion, is still an FBA city. But that state, I'm not sure, man. It might still be majority FBA, but it's a lot of tethers, man. A lot of tethers, especially around DC, all around that DC area, even going into PG County. A lot of immigrants out there, man. A lot of East Africans, West Africans, Caribbeans, and all that. So, and plus Maryland's a little far compared to the other states. So we might just have to let the tethers have Maryland. We might just gotta let them have that. Now, when it comes to the blackest counties in the country, right? The blackest counties are all basically located in Mississippi and Alabama. Now, Alabama, is one of the blackest states, but it's not a top 5 black state, right? But they do pretty much have a bunch of segregated counties. So segregation is already popping in Alabama, right? Out of the 10 blackest counties in the country, 9 of them are located in Mississippi and Alabama, and one, Petersburg, Virginia, that's at 77% black. So, I mean, Virginia, I mean, that's, you're getting a little farther north there, man. Like I said, if we want to have a base, I think we should center it around the states I mentioned earlier. Uh, we can still keep a footing in East Texas. We can still keep a large contingency, a large population of people in Houston, as well as the Dallas Fort Worth area, and everywhere in between there. Everywhere in between there, from Tyler and Texarkana all the way down to Beaumont and Port Arthur. All right, we can take Louisiana, right? We already got heavy numbers in Louisiana, Mississippi. We could, Little Rock, Arkansas. Definitely want to keep Memphis, Tennessee, right? We want to keep Memphis, Tennessee. We ain't giving that up. We want Alabama. We want Georgia. We could take the Florida Panhandle. That's where the most FBAs live at in Florida anyway. Florida is tether central. Everybody know that. Florida's full of Latinos and Caribbeans. But up on that panhandle in places like Jacksonville and Tallahassee and everywhere in between, all the way over to Pensacola, it's still a lot of FBAs. So we want that. We want South Carolina and North Carolina as well, man. We ain't giving up Charlotte. So we need those metros right there. Anything north of there, man, I mean, unfortunately, Virginia, I like Virginia. Virginia's cool. I got family there, but we don't really need Virginia. We need to start with one of these states down here that I just mentioned. If it's not going to be Mississippi, it should be Georgia, because Georgia, that's where Atlanta's at. That's supposed to be the Mecca. It's already a bunch of black folks moving down there. We can take over Georgia in no time, but we need more people. We need more people. All right. Let's Now we done already talked about segregation and separation, right? I want to talk about racial. Let's talk about integration. This is what we supposedly living in right now. So I'm gonna just break this down. I haven't read this article yet, so we're going to kind of we're going to slow walk it. Let's see. It says so integration, right? It includes desegregation, right? The process of ending systemic racial segregation. It supposedly levels barriers to association. It supposedly creates equal opportunity regardless of race. It supposedly hold on. And okay. Yeah. Creating equal opportunity regardless of race, and the development of a culture that draws on diverse traditions rather than being merely bringing a racial minority into a majority culture. Okay, that was a lot of word salad right there, but that basically is what they did. All they did was bring us into their culture, kept us at the bottom, and we know the story from there. Um, let's see. Distinguishing integration from desegregation. All right, I'm gonna read this right here, right? So this is words from Morris J. McGeiger Jr. Okay, this is a army vet. So in his paper, The Integration of the Armed Forces from 1940 to 1969, he writes concerning the words integration and desegregation, quote, In recent years, many historians have come to distinguish between these like sounding words: the movement toward desegregation, breaking down the nation's Jim Crow system, becoming increasingly popular in the decade after World War II. Integration, on the other hand, Professor Oscar Handlin maintains, implies several things not yet necessarily accepted in all areas of American society. In one sense, it refers to the leveling of all barriers and association other than those based on ability, taste, and personal preference. In other words, providing equal opportunity. But in another sense, integration calls for the random distribution of a minority throughout society. Here, according to Hanlon, the emphasis is on the racial balance in areas of occupation, education, residency, and the like. So, from the beginning of the military establishment, rightly understood the breakup of the all black unit would, in a closed society, necessarily mean more than mere desegregation. It constantly used the terms integration and equal treatment and opportunity to describe its racial goals. Rarely, if ever, does one find the word desegregation in military files that includes much correspondence. End quote. All right, so I mean, it's a lot of mumbo jumbo here, but they basically saying that the integration, man, people ain't really ready for that. Now it's been forced on the white folks. They forced that, but they wasn't really ready for that, and they don't really want it. You know what I mean? That's why whenever we move into their neighborhoods, they get the fleeing, and the only time they come back and come in our neighborhood is when it's time to gentrify shit, and then time to push us out. You see what I'm saying? So similarly, Keith M. Woods, who I'm not sure who that is, but he writes on the need for precision in journalistic language. Integration happens when a monolith is changed, like when a black family moves. Okay, I just said this, man. All right. Integration happens when a monolith is changed, like when a black family moves into an all white neighborhood. Integration happens even without a mandate from the law. Desegregation, on the other hand, was the legal remedy to segregation. Okay, so I see where they're getting at. So they're saying what we did back in the 60s and all that, it wasn't really integration. All they did was desegregation. So they're making a distinction between desegregation, which was basically getting rid of the common law of segregation, and they're making that different from actual integration, which would be more of a voluntary phenomenon, right? If you staying with me here. Um, I see some people is in here, man. Like, I would love some feedback in the chat, man. Like, you just sitting there listening, man. It's a little weird, man. Just give me some feedback. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, man? Press one if you can hear me. All right, I'm gonna keep going, man. Where we at? Where we at? Okay, in 1997, Henry Oregon, who identified himself as a participant in the civil rights movement on the San Francisco Peninsula in the 60s and a foundational black American, wrote that the term desegregation is normally reserved to the legal legislative domain, and it was the legalization of discrimination in public institutions based on race that many fought against in the 1960s. The term integration, on the other hand, pertains to a social domain. It does and should refer to individuals of different backgrounds who opt to interact. All right. Okay. All right. I'm gonna skip through this. I don't want to keep reading all these different people's opinions on what's desegregation, what's integration. I think we get the point there. I think we get the point there. Let me see where we at here, man. I think I might end this stream a little early, man, so I can just listen to the playback on this, man. Because, like I said, nobody's really giving me feedback, and it'd be one thing if I was sitting here talking to myself, but like it's literally people in here. So, um, I'm gonna have to shut it down soon, man. I don't want to keep going into this. I definitely just want to hear how I sound on here. I'm using a different device for the live stream than I used the last time, so I'm just trying to work this out because I'm thinking that I might do more live streams like this in the future because like I said, man, I just spent 2 days working on a video and uploaded it. It literally took like 3.5 hours to upload that video, and then come to find out, like, damn near the whole video was copyrighted. So, I was salty about that. I was really putting nothing up in a couple weeks. Like I said, I've been dealing with I've been dealing with school and everything, right? It's final exams time. If anybody know anything about that, then you know what that's hitting for. So I'm in grad school right now, man, about to get a master's degree, man. Almost done. Almost done, family. So that's why I haven't really had the time to be posting, but like I said, I did work on a video last few days, and yeah, it didn't turn out too good, man. So that kind of set me back. But be on the lookout this summer. All right, I'm gonna have a bunch of information, bunch of videos on the Red Summer, all the different race riots that was going on back then, all over the country, and I got a series coming out in August about Black August and all type of foundational Black American liberation movements. Fighting for our freedom and all that type of stuff. I know historically, Black August has been viewed as a kind of somewhat of a Pan African type of celebration, but we ain't doing that on it over here. We want to talk about foundational Black Americans, and that's it. I mean, I don't got time to be talking about what they did in the Sudan and the Congo and all that, man. That ain't got nothing to do with me. That don't got nothing to do with us. All right. So I'm gonna get off here for now. Like I said, I need to really check to see if the sound was even working here, man. I can't tell. So, yo, until next time, y'all. Peace, man. I'ma holla at y'all.